Hi everybody, it's me, Lori, giving an update on the 700-mile HIV/AIDS Walking to Remember Memorial Walk. T-shirts, very cool. You can get one at my booster site. I'll give you the information in just a minute. Here's one of them, right here. Okay, very nice. The money from the t-shirts go to our expenses for the walk, and anything left over will go to the donations to the Southwest Care Center in Santa Fe and the David Powell Clinic in Austin, Texas. Someone asked me the other day why I wanted to do this walk. What was the big deal? First of all, I want to say, on the first video that I did, the 700-mile Memorial Walk video, I said that I was diagnosed with HIV in 1991. I contracted HIV in 1991. I need to clarify that. Why do I want to do this walk? When I was diagnosed in 1993, it hit me. Oh my God, I'm going to die of AIDS. I didn't know a whole lot about HIV and AIDS. All I knew was things that I'd seen on TV, news reports of somebody who had contracted it and died, and then of course the movies, Philadelphia, and the band played on, The Cure. That's all I really knew. I didn't know a whole lot about it. And I decided that I didn't want to die from complications of AIDS. I didn't want to die from HIV. I didn't understand it. I just didn't want to die from it. So I took up extreme sports and stuff. I started bungee jumping and doing things like that because I figured if I was going to die, I was going to go out really cool. I was going to go out and it was going to be woohoo, watch this, and then, you know, die doing something that I loved. I didn't want to die from HIV. I didn't want it on my death certificate. I didn't want it, I didn't know they didn't put it on my death certificate, but I didn't want it there. So a friend of mine, her name's Patsy, she got a hold of me one day and she said, "You're going to kill yourself." I said, "I know. I don't want to die from HIV. I don't want to live with it. I don't want to die with it." And she looked at me and she said, "You have a son to raise. If you die, your mom's going to raise him." And I said, "No, I can't let that happen. I wanted to live. I wanted to live for my son. I just didn't want to have HIV." Well, over the course of the last 23 years, I've had a lot of people come into my life and I've had some wonderful support. And in that period, the first 10 years of my diagnosis, I had a lot of people that taught me through different avenues of teaching. Just because you have HIV does not mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean you're horrible. It's no different than having any other disease or virus or situation in your life. Just because I have HIV doesn't mean that I'm like this monster. It means I'm a person living with HIV. So through that course of time, I learned you can either deal with it or dwell on it, and I have chosen to deal with it. Which brings me to this walk. About 10 years ago, a different place and time in my life, I wanted to do a walk that would represent HIV in some way. You know, hey, look, HIV. But I realize now, 10 years past the desire being placed in my heart, that if I did that walk 10 years ago, it would have been about me. It would have been about, hey, look, I'm doing this walk for HIV. Now, I realize that doing this walk is a good thing. It's an attention getter for the awareness of HIV and AIDS. It's a way to let the public know, let the world know that it's still there, it's still a problem, it's still an issue. Oh, I can take a pill and it'll be okay. Sure, you could take a pill and live. Let me tell you what, that medication, number one, is expensive. The care, the treatment is expensive. The results of taking the medication, well, let's see. I have lipodystrophy. I have a lump on my lower back because the fat cells have reaccumulated in a place. That's one of the side effects of medication. I've had medicine that caused me to be jaundiced because it affected my liver, shot my bilirubins up. Yeah, that's really good. Good way to live. I I've had medications that has weakened my hair and caused my hair to fall out some. Then, probably about 11 years ago or so, I lived for 2 solid years. T-cells were good. I wanted to keep them that way, but for 2 solid years I had chronic diarrhea. Ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to contract HIV. There's so much information out there, and there's so much, so many ways that you can protect yourself, and you do not have to contract HIV. Abstinence, ladies and gentlemen, is your #1 way. You're not going to contract it that way. Make sure, look at your partner, get tested before you ever have sex with somebody. I mean, it's just, be cautious, be an advocate for yourself, stand up, look at yourself, say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And that's what I'm doing. I want to show the world that you can have a life, you can live, you can do things. But I'm telling you this now, I don't want anyone to have to be conscious in the back of their mind constantly if they're in a relationship or if they're out. I have to be careful because I'm HIV positive, and what happens if there's an emergency situation? There's so much you can do. There's so much, your life can be so wonderful without having that in the back of your mind. So, brings me to this walk. David Powell Clinic was the first place that I got treatment in Austin, Texas. They got me on the road to living. Southwest Care Center is where I've been treated for the last 18 plus years. Friends of the David Powell is a 501c3 that supports the David Powell Clinic, and you can contribute to them for the David Powell Clinic with this information. I would appreciate it if you could let them know that you're donating for the Walking to Remember Memorial Walk. Southwest Care Center, right here. You can contact them. You can go online. You can donate. I would appreciate it if you would note in the donation that it was for the Walking to Remember Memorial Walk. If you want to contact me personally to speak, I've been speaking this year 15 years telling my story, how I contracted it. Right here, you can contact me personally. My cell phone number, my address. Look me up. I know that my Canadian friends have had a hard time with the whole booster thing. Like I said, get a hold of Mike. Here's those social media pages again, or addresses. Ladies and gentlemen, all I can say is thank you. And if you can't